Like, but Hulk Hogan is the best. In fact, you know his impact. If you go outside of the world, if you go outside of the United States, right, and you show a picture of Michael Jordan, right, people are gonna say basketball. If you needed to get somebody to think wrestling, who you think you're gonna show them a picture of?
Hulk Hogan, Hulkamania.
Exactly, and they're gonna know exactly what sport, what you're talking about.
Yes, yes, yes. And like I said, before we get to number one, I'm going to do a couple honorable mentions. And after number one, I will mention another part of the WWE Championship. So let's get to the honorable mentions right now. We are heading to the honorable mentions section. One honorable mentions is the late superstar Billy Graham. He's recently passed away. He had one reign as WWE Champion, combined days 296. Noble Fuse, Dusty Rhodes, Larry Zbyszko. Um, if you could tell by looking at him, he looks a lot familiar. That's that style, his body, hair. That's who he was. Hulk Hogan before Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan took this persona, and made millions of dollars out of it. But Superstar Billy Graham was definitely one of the best WWE champions. Had a great fuse with Dusty and Larry. Like I said, unfortunately, he passed away. I think he was sick for many years. I know he had a lot of surgeries, a lot of health problems over the course of the past, I think 10, 15 years. He was sick for a long time, off and on, but I'm still going to recognize him as a WWE champion. So I don't know a whole lot about Billy Graham, but I do know he did stay as champion. I'll pass the mic along to Gilbert regarding Billy Graham.
Billy Graham was the man. Like you said, they stole everything from Billy Graham. And Billy Graham was just used as, again, he was that guy that they wanted to put the title on and run with the old remedy of the bad guy having the title. He was just there to be a placeholder for Bob Backlund. You know what I mean? They told Billy Graham when he won the title that he was going to eventually lose it to the person that they was grooming, which was Bob Backlund. So, you know what I mean? Billy Graham was the man.
Yes, yes, Billy Graham, Billy Graham. We have one more honorable mention, and he's a one-time holder of championship. But I'm gonna give him his due. That is Eddie Guerrero, Latino Heat. He won the WWE Championship once, one reign, combined days 133. Noble feuds with Kurt Angle and JBL. He won championship from Brock Lesnar in No Way Out 2004, despite the interference from Goldberg. He had a great match with Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 20, and eventually lost the championship to JBL in the Texas bull rope match. We got to hit four corners of the bull rope, and JBL beat him for the championship. But I wish he was alive. I know he would have. He was supposed to win the World Heavyweight Championship. I heard at the time of his passing. He was. That's what Stephanie McMahon said it in the tribute. And I know he would have been a great World Heavyweight Champion as well. And I did like him as WWE Champion. I know he wasn't the biggest, but he was very talented. And to this day, his name still get mentioned throughout arenas. You see either hear Latino Heat, you hear you see the three suplexes and the also I lie, I cheat, I steal. The old tactic where you take a chair or any other weapon, you put in an opponent's head, you fall down the floor like you was hit, the ref falls for it. That was Eddie Guerrero came up with that. He made it famous and still be used from time to time. He is gone, but he is not forgotten, and he is definitely one of the greatest WWE champions in the honorable mention. And I will pass the mic on Gilbert regarding Eddie Guerrero.
I don't know much about Eddie WWE run because I wasn't really watching wrestling. I took a break from wrestling around the time when him, Dean Malenko, and Benoit came in. But I do know, like much like Pedro Morales, he made that Caribbean vibe. He brought that Caribbean vibe to the title, and he was a great worker. I do remember him from WCW, you know what I mean, and from Nitro. So, I mean, take nothing away from Eddie Guerrero. And you're right. He's still remnants of him. Still, he's impactful still to this day. Like you said, MJF uses his his little cheat where he makes it look like if you hit him with the chair, you know what I mean. The LWO, right? Is that did I say it right? The Latin World Order. That
LWO.
yeah, that's a whole rip off of the stables that Eddie Guerrero created. So he's impactful. Definitely honorable mention worthy.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. And we will be headed on to number one in a second. Try to see who that number one is. So let's get into number one. Bruno Sammartino. Um, two championship runs with the belt, combined days 4,040, most of all time. Very, very monumental and impactful champion. You cannot talk about the WWE Championship without mentioning Bruno Sammartino. There's no way you can. No way possible. Now, it was tough putting him and Hogan at 1 and 2. They both made an impact on his championship. Bruno obviously was before Hogan. Hogan obviously was the bigger name. But before Hogan, it was Bruno. And he held the championship for a long time, for years. I know there was no TV tapes back then. That's why he held for a long time, but he still was a money draw. Can't deny that. Like I said, he feuded with Gorilla Monsoon, Killer Kowalski, Waldo Von Erich of the Erich family, Ivan Koloff. But he had great feuds with these guys, and he was a great champion. You know, I know that he played politics. I heard a little bit with his son, David Sammartino, and I heard he was at odds with WWE for many, many years. You know, so it was nowhere near good like Bruno claimed he was. Um, and he came back 2013 to the Hall of Fame after rejecting it so many times. And it was due to Triple H influencing, talking to Bruno Sammartino, let him know how the product is to change, and he got into a Hall of Fame. Um, a legend in his own right. I will say this: I'm glad he was inducted before he passed away in 2018. I'm glad that finally happened because he would have been a Hall of Fame inductee after he passed away. Thank God he was still alive at the time. I think he was inducted by Arnold Schwarzenegger. But Bruno Sammartino just, I mean, when you talk about people holding the championship, even now with Roman Reigns being champion, you always hear Hulk Hogan and his name first. You always hear those guys' name first. Bruno, Hulk, you hear Pedro, you hear Bob Backlund, you hear other guys, but the most names, two names you hear the most is Bruno and Hulk Hogan. You hear those names first. And he is the top WWE champion of all time. I mean, he brought so much history to this belt. That design he's wearing, that was a very popular design. And he had great rivalries. He kicked off his championship. And he wasn't even the first one to hold it. It was Buddy Rogers. It was Bruno. Bruno's number one, in my opinion. That's no me being favorite. I'm just calling it down the middle. That's how I do my ratings, my picks. And we pass along the good bread regarding Bruno Sammartino. And after this, I will go on to another part of the WWE Championship.